Daniel stepped inside, the weight of exhaustion pressing against his shoulders. The house was silent, wrapped in an eerie stillness. He tossed his keys on the table and ran a hand through his hair. The day had been long, and all he wanted was the comfort of his bed. As he climbed the stairs, something nagged at him. Had he locked the door? He paused, debating whether to go back and check, but sleep called him stronger. Dismissing the thought, he walked into the bedroom. Sophia was already asleep, her back turned towards him, breathing slow and steady. Lying beside her, he stared at the ceiling. His mind wandered back to earlier that week. Emma's perfume still lingered in his senses. Their meetings had been reckless. Stolen moments filled with whispered promises they both knew were empty. He told himself it was because Sophia had grown distant, her love feeling more like obligation than passion. Emma understood him, or so he thought. He turned to glance at Sophia, guilt creeping up his spine. She looked peaceful, but was she? Did she know? A soft creak echoed through the hallway. Daniel stiffened. His tired mind reasoned it away, probably the house settling. He closed his eyes, willing himself to sleep. But downstairs, the unlocked door moved slightly, just enough to let someone slip inside. The figure moved cautiously, footsteps light against the wooden floor. Daniel remained oblivious, lost in dreams while the night carried a secret he had yet to uncover. Daniel's heart raced as he watched Sophia and Ethan, their laughter a cruel melody in the darkened room. He felt like an intruder in his own home, witnessing a betrayal that mirrored his own sins. The irony was suffocating. He had sought solace in Emma's arms, justify his actions with Sophia's emotional distance. Now, faced with the tangible proof of Sophia's infidelity, he was paralyzed by guilt and anger. His phone buzzed in his pocket, a message from Emma. "Can we meet tonight?" The timing was impeccable, a stark reminder of the tangled web they had all woven. Daniel's hands trembled as he read the text, the weight of their collective deceit pressing down on him. He glanced back at Sophia and Ethan, their intimate exchange a testament to the fractures in all their relationships. Retreating quietly, Daniel made his way to the kitchen, needing a moment to collect his thoughts. The walls seemed closing on him, each corner of the house whispering secrets he had chosen to ignore. He poured himself a drink, the liquid courage doing little to numb the realization that they were all complicit in this cycle of betrayal. As he sipped, memories flooded back, late-night conversations with Emma, stolen glances, and the justifications he had crafted to ease his conscience. He had convinced himself that his actions were a response to Sophia's coldness, but now he saw the hypocrisy. They had all been seeking something outside their commitments, failing to address the voids within. The sound of footsteps approaching jolted him from his thoughts. Ethan entered the kitchen, stopping short when he saw Daniel. An awkward silence enveloped them, the weight of unspoken truths hanging heavily in the air. Ethan opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out, his guilt evident in his downcast eyes. Before either could break the silence, Sophia appeared in the doorway, her expression a mix of surprise and defiance. The three stood there, a triangle of betrayal, each grappling with their own culpability. The facade of their intertwined relationships had crumbled, leaving them exposed and vulnerable. Daniel's phone buzzed again, a call from Emma. He stared at the screen, the reality of their situation sinking in. They had all crossed lines, blurred boundaries, and now they had to face the consequences. The house, once a sanctuary, had become a prison of their own making, each room echoing with the ghosts of their indiscretions. As the night stretched on, the weight of their actions settled heavily upon them. The paths they had chosen had led them to this moment, a crossroads of truth and deception, and as dawn approached, they were left to confront the reality they had so carefully avoided, knowing that nothing would ever be the same again. Emma stood at the doorway, her eyes widening as she took in the scene before her. Sophia and Ethan, caught in their intimate betrayal, turned toward her, their expressions a mix of shock and guilt. Daniel, standing off to the side, felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him. The room was thick with tension, the air heavy with unspoken accusations and shattered trust. Emma's voice trembled as she broke the silence. "So, this is what's been happening behind my back?" Her gaze shifted between Sophia and Ethan, searching for answers in their downcast eyes. Sophia straightened, a bitter smile tugging at her lips. "And what about you, Emma? Sneaking around with my husband, pretending to be my friend?" Her words were sharp, each one a dagger aimed at the heart. Emma's face paled, her defenses crumbling under the weight of the truth. I didn't mean for it to happen," she stammered, tears welling up in her eyes. "But you, Sophia, with Ethan? How could you?" Ethan stepped forward, his voice strained. "We all made mistakes," he admitted, his eyes avoiding Daniel's piercing gaze. "But standing here, pointing fingers, won't change what's been done." Daniel clenched his fists, his knuckles white. "Mistakes?" he echoed, his voice low and filled with restrained anger. "This is more than just a mistake. We've all betrayed each other in the worst possible ways." The gravity of his words settled over them, a suffocating blanket of reality. Each of them had sought solace outside their commitments, weaving a tangled web of deceit and infidelity. Now, caught in its strands, they struggled to find a way out. Sophia's shoulders sagged, the fight draining out of her. "Maybe it's time we face the truth," she said softly, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "We've been living lies, all of us. Perhaps it's time to end the charade." Emma nodded, wiping her tears. "I never wanted to hurt anyone," she whispered, her voice thick with regret. "But I see now that we've all been hurting for a long time." Ethan glanced at Daniel. Guilt etched into his features. "I'm sorry," he murmured, the words heavy with sincerity. "For everything." Daniel closed his eyes, taking a deep breath. The anger that had burned so fiercely began to ebb, replaced by a profound sadness. "We can't undo what's been done," he said quietly. "But maybe, just maybe, we can find a way to move forward separately." The four stood in silence, the enormity of their situation settling over them. The paths they had chosen had led them to this moment, a crossroads of truth and deception. And as the night stretched on, they were left to confront the reality they had so carefully avoided, knowing that nothing would ever be the same again. Daniel watched as Sophia and Ethan walked away, their figures silhouetted against the dim light of the hallway. The weight of their collective betrayals hung heavily in the air, an unspoken acknowledgement of the pain they had all inflicted upon one another. The house, once a sanctuary, now felt like a mausoleum of broken promises and shattered trust. Emma stood beside him, her eyes red from tears, her expression a mixture of sorrow and regret. "What happens now?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Daniel sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I don't know," he admitted. "We've all made choices that led us here. Maybe it's time we face the consequences." She nodded, wiping her cheeks. "I never wanted to hurt anyone," she said. "But I see now that we've all been hurting for a long time." He looked at her, seeing the reflection of his own guilt and remorse. "Perhaps it's best if we all take some time apart," he suggested, "to figure out what we truly want, and if there's anything left to salvage." Emma agreed, and with a heavy heart, she gathered her belongings and left the house. Daniel stood alone in the silence, the reality of his actions settling over him like a suffocating blanket. Over the next few weeks, the four of them went their separate ways, each grappling with the aftermath of their intertwined affairs. Daniel and Sophia filed for divorce, acknowledging that their marriage had been irreparably damaged long before their infidelities came to light. Ethan and Emma also ended their relationship, recognizing that it had been built on a foundation of deceit and unmet needs. In the quiet moments that followed, Daniel reflected on the choices he had made, understanding that the path to healing would be long and arduous. He sought therapy, hoping to uncover the reasons behind his actions and to prevent repeating the same mistakes in the future. Sophia, too, embarked on a journey of self-discovery, finding solace in her art and reconnecting with friends she had lost touch with over the years. Ethan moved to a new city, seeking a fresh start away from the memories that haunted him. He dedicated himself to his work, channeling his guilt into productivity, though the loneliness lingered like a shadow. Emma returned to her hometown, finding comfort in the familiarity of her childhood surroundings. She reconnected with her family, mending relationships that had been strained by her absence. Through introspection, she began to understand the void she had tried to fill through her affair, vowing to confront her issues head-on rather than seeking escape. As months turned into years, The scars of their choices remained, but they serve as reminders of lessons learned. Each of them found new paths, forged in the crucible of their shared mistakes. And while the past could not be undone, they moved forward with a deeper understanding of themselves and the complexities of a human heart.